Hot damn! I'm excited to be here. Welcome to Competitive Advantage. He's Noah. I'm Colin. It's Thursday, which is not what I normally say because we normally record on Wednesdays. Now that we're up to date on that, how are you doing, Noah?
I'm really good.
Yeah.
Work is engaging but happy, and very busy and engaging and happy, which is good. I've had less time to play 40K than I normally would, but I have gotten TTS has allowed me to get games in. I settled on a list yesterday, so I'm locked in, and luckily it's in a faction attachment I have plenty of reps with. So, yay me!
Are we going to talk about that, or is it a surprise?
No, yeah, I'll talk about it.
Okay.
I'm the one person who tells you I'm going to hit you, and then I hit you. I don't.
Okay. There's no.
No, subtlety. What's that?
Yeah.
Speaking of subtlety, I'm playing Knights. Spoiler alert. Okay.
Okay.
I'm not like
Nuggets.
I finished up some hobby on my second Knight Atropos, and I generally have just been doing pretty good. I got to go see How to Train Your Dragons, the reboot with my family, which was cool. Which, for those following my story lately over this thing, I've been very, very unemployed up until recently, and so being able to spend the money to go to a movie has been nice.
Yeah. Well, it's so expensive now, right?
Like, yeah.
How much was it for you and your family to go to the movie and have snacks?
Just tickets for the 5 of us, $98.
And some of your children probably got a student discount or a kid discount.
Yeah. And then so I decided to get I decided to go cheaper out for the popcorn. I got 2 mediums and 2 beverages that the 5 of us split because they're huge. And that was $49. It was like.
And what's great is the movie theater industry isn't doing particularly well. Like, it's just, the whole thing is really funny.
Now, I have a movie theater room at my house.
Okay.
And so like anytime anything comes out on like to direct Amazon, like anything that's like, on Amazon within a couple of weeks of going live in the movie theaters, we just like do the movie room thing, and that's much cheaper.
When I built I'm a home theater nerd. I don't have a big one right now, but last time I built one, the home theater nerds that were helping me told me, oh, well, there's a service where you can just see the movies from the movie theater that the rich people use. And I'm like, oh, how much is that? And they said, a lot. And I went, oh, okay. So yeah, maybe you just need that, Noah. Just make a bunch more money and pay whatever fee it is, and then watch whatever movie you want.
Well, how about you become a famous YouTuber?
Oh, that seems possible, but unlikely.
That's the story of my life, man. Possible but unlikely is what I hang my hat on. Let's fucking go. Let's go. Possible and unlikely is so many points of my life are possible but unlikely that got me here. So let's fucking go.
Well, I am in a great mood.
That's a better slogan for the network that we talked about. We were talking about, here we go, let's go. Possible but unlikely. Sounds even better.
I thought you were going to go with, well, I'm in a great mood.
Next team event we go to, we're calling our team Possible but Unlikely.
Yeah, I think that's great.
All right.
I'm not going to remember it. Neither of us are going to remember that at that point, but yes, it would be great if we did.
Tattooed on my eyelids. How are you, Colin?
I'm fantastic.
Tell me.
I am in a great mood. So I think that the best part of my week is when I had to cancel going to the Tacoma Open. I buried the lead there. I actually was ecstatic to go to the Tacoma Open. I've been practicing like crazy. I was going to take a Warhost Eldari list that I had put a lot of effort into making sure that it was counter meta. Very excited to see what that was going to do. I really wanted to get out of the house and go play 40K for 3 days. And so you might be asking, well, then why are you so excited that you canceled? Well, it's because my house sold. So
fuck around. Let's go.
Yeah. So to bring everybody back up to speed, Colin's unemployed, decides I'm not going to take another 60-hour-a-week software sales job. Instead, I'm going to get divorced, sell this stupid house I live in, start a new life, build a little structure, and then see what I want to do. And in the meantime, I'm going to work on Best in Tabletop, which isn't going to be called that anymore, but I'm going to work on Best in Tabletop and see if I can build that to a thing where that could provide for me full time and I wouldn't have to go back to software sales, which I don't really want to do. And so I said to myself, okay, well, you've got to focus. Then I started going through the process of getting divorced, a kid in a massive car accident, which was like 3 weeks ago, for gosh sakes, and trying and just literally fending off bankruptcy. I'm just going to say that I've been unemployed. My wife's business isn't doing well. The economy tilted on us really quick. We don't need to talk about why that would be because that's a politics conversation. Anyways, it's been really, really hard, and the more difficult it got, and the more focus it took, the less I could focus on literally anything else. So I acknowledged that about a week or two ago, where I said, hey, I'm going to keep doing competitive advantage. I'm going to slow down on everything else, and we'll pick it back up after the move. So now we get an offer on our house that's cash. So I don't have the month that I thought I was going to have to get myself ready to move, find a place to live, move into that place. Instead, I have 2 weeks. I have 2 weeks to get my house packed, find a place to live, which I do not have right now. And by the way, I have no credit from being unemployed and fending off bankruptcy. So this is finding a rental property is going to be a really interesting experience. So I've got to find a place to live. I've got to move there. We're going to have a garage sale. We've combined with the garage sale a 40K hobby swap meet, which we'll talk about in a second. So I have like a million things to do over the next like 2 weeks of time. It's like 16 days. So I'm not going to pay any attention to 40K. And I'm going to do competitive. Going to do this show next week with Doa because I want to hear about the tournament. But I'm not going to pay any attention to 40K, and y'all will see me more in about literally 3 weeks. I'll start going at full speed, and I will chase my dream. Because of the equity from the house, I think I'm going to have about, I don't know, 5-6 months of runway before I really have to make a hard decision about what I want to do. So that's a good amount of time. It's not enough time to start a small business, but it's a good amount of time. So I'll keep doing the thing where I say, these are the shows I'm making, or these are the shows y'all like. And we'll go from there. So sorry I can't go to the Tacoma Open. I am going to go down on Friday during round 3. I'm going to wander around and say hi to people that I know, and then I'm going to head to dinner with some friends. So I will be down to say hi. If you see me, feel free to come up to me. I would love to say that I stand out easily in a room full of nerds, but lots of them are tall and look like me. That's actually not true. Nobody looks like me. Anyways, feel free to come up and say hi. I'll tell you what, I'll wear a Best in Tabletop shirt. We'll make it a little easier. All right. So I'm excited. I'm so excited. I live here right now. By the way, my wife and kids have moved out. I live in this giant stupid house by myself right now. So it's real weird. Okay, let's talk about some 40K. We have exactly an hour today because it's Thursday and Noah has an 8 o'clock. Yeah. So we have 50 minutes. Because there's been almost no news the last 2 weeks for 40K, I presume because there was rules changes last week, but we covered those. Because there's been almost nothing, we don't do good, bad, and ugly, and instead we dive right into talking about the Tacoma Open.
Can I propose something?
Is it the thing that I don't know came out because I've been distracted?
No.
No, go ahead.
Did something come out?
No, I have no idea. I'm just...
Let's each say one good, one bad, one ugly with no context or discussion at all.
About Warhammer or about the world?
Whatever it would normally be are good, bad, and ugly, but no context or discussion.
All right, what's your good?
Okay, my good is that you sold your house.
Okay.
Okay.
That was going to be my good, but okay.
My bad is the existence of lists with 25 to 30 fire dragons. and my ugly is
the existence of lists of 25 to 30 fire dragons.
No, my ugly is the fact that I have far less reps than I want. But there we are.
Okay. Well, my ugly is certainly how much practice I put in to go to an event I can't go to.
That's pretty ugly.
I played
No
every
discussion,
mission.
Colin. Lack of context.
No, I'm giving discussion because people are going to be curious. I did play every mission from the tournament, and if you care about a tournament, I strongly recommend doing that. I've never done every round from such a big tournament as prep, and it was actually really interesting and helpful for me. Partially because some of the mission combinations GW has put together are silly pants silly.
Oh yeah, that's an ugly too. Is that
So,
some of that? There's
oh yeah,
another.
that'll be my ugly. That
Yeah,
some of the missions are just stupid at the Tacoma Open.
sweeping engagement and Dawn of War occur a non-zero amount of times.
So round one is Dawn of War on what I would describe as murder terrain. I mean, I played it against an army that did not have a lot of guns, and I had Eldar, and I was just on him, back behind walls, out from the walls, and he's like, "I can't get to you," and then the game was over. So like, it's bad. And then the second mission is the tilted Dawn of War because somehow they've come up with a way for Dawn of War to be worse. Because Dawn of War, you're 24 inches apart. But you see how geometry works. When you make two of the zones on the same line go out farther, those are now closer together. Who knew? And so if you put a model on that corner and there's a model anywhere near the other corner, you are not even remotely 24 inches apart from each other.
Like 18.
Yeah, it's real rough. So that mission is second, and I would also describe that terrain as aggressive, is what I would call that terrain as. So I think the first two rounds are literally just a smash-a-thon, and I think the missions are both dumb too. I think it's like take and hold on Dawn of War or something. So I think it's just going to be a smash-a-thon for
One
the
of them
first
is
two rounds.
terraform. One of them on one of
Oh,
those types is terraform.
yeah, because you're going to stand on the terrains and stand on the objectives that are in the open and terraform. It's going to be great. No context or discussion could be the name for our show.
Oh yeah, that's actually a good idea too.
No context or discussion. Okay, so the train is a little bit silly, but so be it. Let's talk about the Tacoma Open.
Yeah.
I am paying so little attention to 40K that this is the logic mismatch that my brain created. Colin, you don't have to turn in your list till Monday morning. Or Friday morning if you go to the tournament. You don't have to turn in your list till Friday morning. I'll ask Noah to review the list he's most afraid of on the show. That's the logic bomb I dropped on myself.
Does not work.
Those two things cannot be true at the same time, unless Colin has very special treatment about taking a list to a tournament.
And at least one of those is not true with the GW events anyway.
Yeah. So it's almost 400 people. It's in Tacoma. For those that are, I'll just give a little bit of info for those that aren't from Western Washington. Our airport's called SeaTac. It's in between Seattle and Tacoma. So about the same distance Seattle is north of the airport, Tacoma is south. It's second biggest city, I'm pretty sure, in the state, and they keep doing the open there. I think it's a great place for them to do it because it's way cheaper than them trying to do it in Seattle, where it would be wildly just financially. I'm sure it's not viable because of how expensive convention space would be. So it's down at Tacoma, which is cool. It's been a great event. This is the fifth one, I think. Fourth one. I think it's the fourth one. It's just an incredible event, and what I really like about it is that I used to go to LVO every year, and through some very significant reasons that I'm not going to talk about right now, I probably won't ever go to LVO again. Not through anything about Frontline. I like the guys at Frontline, just I probably won't go to LVO again. And so last week, Chuck said, I'm really excited because I'm going to my LVO. And I thought about it, and I looked at the list, and the people that I want to see, for the most part, are at Tacoma Open. Yeah. Like, I'd love to see the Art of War guys, who obviously aren't coming out this far, like John and Nick and them. Like, I adore all those guys. I'd love to see them. Dukes isn't coming down, but I just saw Dukes. So, yeah, it's a neat tournament. Jurek is coming up. You know, like, it's all the people, right? I'm sure Matt Evans is coming out. Like, all the people from the surrounding area come in. And so it's just a really neat tournament. If you've been to an open, it's the same thing, but it's still really neat that we get to have kind of a regional LVO, which I think is a really great way to think about it. There's a big difference between I'm going to go to this tournament and there's 80 locals, and I'm going to go to the tournament and there's 360 people. That's insane. The level of depth you're going into the local community is intense at that point, and the travel. You're getting a lot of people that you've never seen before, you've never played a tournament game against. They might know what they're doing. They might be some crazy murderer from Arkansas that no one's ever heard of. And they've just started traveling, and they're like, oh, hey, look, I'm wrecking everyone. That's fun. So I like that aspect of the Tacoma Open a lot. Okay, there's my general information about the Tacoma Open. Noah, you're up.
So it's important to know that the Tacoma Open is the format where we're going to play 4 rounds.
Oh yeah.
And then we're going to be potted. Then
potted. I heard potted. Boop. I'm a plant.
We're going to play 4 rounds. We'll be potted. The top 16
still
go
plant.
to a top bracket. And then from there, in progressively larger amounts, we have other brackets. Everyone I'm going to talk to you about, I basically expect to be, because I'm going to talk about some shiny stars, people are pretty well known that are very, very good players, people that might be slightly lesser known that are on that level, and then I'm going to talk about, I'm going to spend more time talking about people who I think are dark horses who most people won't recognize the names of for competitive play, but I think have a very good shot of being in those 2 top brackets.
Okay.
Right. So the killers from Arkansas, as we will call them, right? So once you're in those 2 top brackets, By the way,
I picked Arkansas because I think it's one of the least populated states. But it's not Rhode Island, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm right on that. Anyways, go ahead.
If you make it in the top 16, you play 2 more rounds that day. So first day is 3 rounds, second day is 3 rounds. You are put into pods after round 4. You play 2 more rounds, and if you are in contention for the top 8 still, if you are high still, you will then play a shadow round and go into you basically split up, and then you will play 2 or 3 more games the next day. 2 more.
I think everybody plays all 8 games.
Everyone plays all 8 games. So I'm saying what happened. The bracket experience is slightly different. Everybody else plays all 8 games. And then you get, based on how you perform in your bracket, you have a chance still to win stuff.
Yeah, I want to tangent just for a second on brackets. A lot of the complaints I've shared over the years about 40K is the aspect of random pairing. Something like LVO, I think the last one I went to, there were 700 people there, and it's 6 rounds to find out who gets into the final, right? I could draw Nanavati in the first round. I could draw Tim Smith, who has every single Space Marine in his army labeled with their name, right? Like, I could go either direction in the first round of the tournament. I really like brackets because what it does is it sets up a thing where it's like, hey, you had a rough first 4, but now you get to play against people that also had a rough first 4. Or you had an amazing first 4, and you're going to spend the rest of the tournament playing against people who had an amazing first 4. And I like and there's a couple things I really like about that, but one of the big ones that people don't think about is in a normal tournament, when you get to the near the end rounds and you're playing the best players at the tournament, if you fail, you don't play those people anymore. But in a bracketed tournament, you get to keep playing the best people that got into the bracket with you. So if you get into the top 16, and even if you don't think you're going to do well, you're still guaranteed 4 games against the people in that bracket.
Yep.
And I think that is an incredibly cool thing, because you know where you are, and you also know I'm at least 16th. I'm playing with house money. I was excited that I was going to be in the top 16. I've made, or the top 32, and I've made it. Now it's house money. I can just see how I'm going to do. I felt like that when I went to Nova. I was like, okay, I'm in a bracket now. Let's see how I do. Like,
that was my first.
Brackets are cool.
That was my first to come open. I made top 16. I played like the first game of it or whatever. I played like a game or something of it, and then I dropped and went home because it was Mother's Day the next day.
Funny. I want to just be clear that my complaints about pairing is still completely valid with brackets, but it's not as bad.
All right, so
go ahead.
Let's talk about
the topic at hand.
Okay, so I'll really quick talk about what I'm bringing. I'll be very quick. We've talked about some of this stuff at length. I'm bringing Chaos Knight's Infernal Lance. So Infernal Lance basically has a dark pact system. You do a morale leadership check in the command phase. You pick. And then you get a token. At any one of the phases, you can spend those tokens for an ability, plus 3 inches move, sustained or lethal on attacks, or a 5-up invul that's regardless of shooting or melee, with a 6 of field, no pain staple to it. It's got ignores cover. It's got the 4-up invul and shooting rotate. It's got some other cool stratagems that are good. And I'm playing Lancer, double Atropos, Despoiler. My Despoiler is a little different because he's got a Gatling cannon and a rapid fire battle cannon. It's a little bit of a niche pick because it hits blast, so I can't necessarily shoot the battle cannon in combat if I get tagged. However, it's flat damage 3 and I can ignore cover. So what it allows me to do is go into Catan and Terminators in an equitable way where I'm not losing a bunch of my potential efficiency by either wounding on 3s rather than. So I go to wounding on 2s. They're on a 3-up save, but I'm ignoring cover, right? So like puts it in an okay position. And then in Catan, when they get hats, it only goes to 2. So and they're still going to be taking their 4-up save. So they're just going to be taking 4-ups to take 2 damage, and it's within 36 inches, you get rapid fire. So it's 2d6 plus 6 because it's truly a rapid fire battle. Then 2 carnivores, a huntsman, 2 squads of nurglings, and Mr. Sloppity Bile Piper himself because he forced battle shock during the fight phase, and he's a tiny little thing that can go down and do actions. So I want
my favorite name. My favorite name in the whole game, Sloppity Bile Piper. Favorite name entire game.
This list.
How'd you get into bile piping?
This list has a bunch of really cool things it can do. It can solve problems. I was between this and a list that makes problems. But one thing this list can also do is if I'm put in positions where where I'm outplayed by my opponent and the tactical capability of my opponent is much better than I am. There are situations specifically with the missions and the layouts that GW has chosen where because my knights can go, by packing for movement, my knights can go 15 or 17 inches respectively. I can charge you in your deployment zone on turn 1 if I really have to. And if you went first, I can charge everything you played the game with, period. So I have the ability to just go unga bunga and say, take these 4 big knights, these 3 little knights, and everything I have, and I hope you can kill it all in a turn, because if not, I'm killing you. And then I can also play tactically. So enough of me. Let's talk about the list, the people. So, but I'm gonna run through some of the people I think are shiny stars. There was one on here who dropped. Mr. Brian Jones, one of the best Knights player in the world, dropped this morning, it looks like. So he was on my list, but he's no longer included.
We'll miss you, Brian, or at least I would if I was there.
So we have Jeff Jew. Jeff Jew has already won a golden ticket or 2. He is one of the kind of premier North America players for Xenos Petting Zoo. He's an incredibly nice dude. I played him last year at the GW Open. He jumps around armies. Most notably, recently, he's been on Orcs. With how good Ultramarines are, I would not be surprised if he's on Ultras, but I expect him to be on like something that is at the forefront, but with a little bit of spice because he does his own little he has his own little outplay spice maneuvers that he's pretty good with. For instance, he was on Space Marines when everyone was on Space Marines, but he was on Dark Angels and like a little bit of a different build of Dark Angels. So I expect to see him with like a list that's like almost the meta list with something off slightly because he has such a high level of playability that he can use that to like as like a knife right in his opponent's heart. Ben Urich will be there. I believe Ben just went to teams with Knights, so it's very likely Ben could be on Knights. Ben is also one of the better players in North America, so he could take anything. He posts hobby pictures pretty regularly of a variety of armies. My expectation is he's on something aggressive, so either one of the aggressive power armor builds, or he's on Knights. Scary is going to be here, so I think Scary is just going to play a Dark Killer list that everyone looks at and says is bad, and then he's going to show you how it like literally dances on like the inside on your guts. Right? He's going to play something that looks mathematically like bullshit,
and then he's going to top 16.
Yeah, exactly. Frami is a local player, but he's getting pretty well known. He's on Team USA. He's a top player in North America for sure.
This is Nicholas or Nick Frami. This everybody knows who he's talking about.
Yeah, he tends to be between.
Is Noah's internet going out or mine? Hold on, folks. I think we are having a technical difficulty.
Nothing is happening for me.
Okay, here we are.
Okay.
I think everything's fine now. Well, the stream itself was struggling, so I don't know. Go ahead.
Cool.
Daft Punk Noah. You did sound like a robot for a little while there.
It's so weird because you didn't.
Robot.
So he usually jumps between Thousand Suns, Knights, or not Thousand Knights, sorry, Thousand Suns, Sisters, and Eldar. My bet is he's on Thousand Suns.
Yeah, with from those three, yes, I think he's playing Thousand Suns.
The other, though, is he's played a bunch of Eldar, and the other option he could be on is I would not be surprised if he shows up with like 30 Fire Dragons. He's a man who likes to solve problems completely.
Yeah. Okay.
And he also very much is a build for the meta, outplay the rest player. That's
which is the way to do it.
And then we have Mr. McDowell, the Archon of the North. He'll be there. He hasn't had as much recent high top finishes, but McDowell's one of those people that his infinite knowledge of playing this game is so long and storied that he can just sometimes put you in a vice hold that you're never going to come out of and you won't see it. So I think that JT also he has access to getting lots of reps because he does it for a living at this point. I think he is somebody who has a real likelihood to be kind of thing, and he's fairly well known.
Yeah, I think that what I would add on JT is that there are players who just play 40K differently than everyone else. And Scari's like that, right? Part of the reason that people don't beat Scary is that Scari's strategy is not predictable for most players because he's not doing what other players do. I played a game against JT playing an Eldar list that I thought was trash. And I really appreciated some of the nuance of what he did with the things that I didn't value, right? There are things that as a massive Eldar player, I'm like, I don't value that. And then while playing JT, he's like, well, it does this. And I'm like, oh, okay. So that's the sort of player that he and Scary are, and that's part of how Drukhari works in these bad metas for it, because it has a lot of tricks and tools and things that people don't understand about it.
I agree, but also Mr. McFluffin made me laugh. He says, "I'm bringing Reaper's Wager, snacks, and a cooler of Pacifico. If the meta's going to act like a clown show, might as well play with them and have a good time."
That's our buddy Guy.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about.
Well, let me just say, one of the things I'm intending to do next week is film a segment with Guy about taking Reaper's Wager, because his decision is a really interesting one. He likes Necrons. He likes Drukhari. He's not taking Necrons because he doesn't like the play style of the thing that is best. And I think that's right. He'll correct me if I'm wrong. And so he's playing the army he would rather play and just accepting that he'll do as well as he can.
That's great.
He doesn't think that the army is particularly competitive, and Guy is someone who cares about winning. And so I want to interview him because I want to say, how do you decide what vibe you wanted to be at the tournament? And then did Reaper's Wager outperform your expectations or underperform, and why? That's the show I want to do. So anyways, go ahead, Noah.
Guy, that sounds like a really good approach. I like Guy doing this. Seth says Noah's here to smash and comb his hair, and he is all out of hair.
That's really great. I like that a lot.
I love Seth, my boy, the Mad Doc himself.
Yeah.
I will probably be wearing his jersey this weekend because we traded jerseys at a team event. So if you see Mad Doc, it's not a much shorter Seth. It's just a man who loves him. Okay, so let's talk about the. I was going to call them Dark Horses, but now I'm just going to call them Killers from Arkansas. So let's talk about that's another great team name.
Also a good band name.
Yes. The lead singer for Killers from Arkansas. No,
okay.
Actually,
no, that's fine. No, the lead singer for Killers from Arkansas. I'm here for it. Who is it?
I think it's Andrew Johnson.
Okay, I could see that.
Andrew has been doing this extremely detailed hobby project for Eldar, so there is a chance he brings Eldar. But what Andrew Johnson is a very solid tactical player who has historically played the same roughly list and faction, which is Votan, for a very long time. And he's consistently an X and 1, X and 2 player. and he's done really well. He's gotten golden ticket before. He's one of the best painters I think I've ever seen. Oh, real quick, I'm going to jump back up. Also, Donald Plummer is going and playing Death Guard, and that is definitely in the Shiny Star list, and that is a scary thing to behold. So I don't want to forget about Donald Plummer playing Death
Donald's
Guard.
an incredibly good local player that's won a bunch of stuff.
He's very well known for Tau, but he's been just murdering with Death Guard.
Yeah, and currently he's not being held back by Tau.
Right. He is unchained. The Donald Unchained. So
weird band name.
Weird band name. Andrew Johnson. Also, I'm going to call it maybe, I don't know if I'm supposed to talk about people's personality, but he's a firefighter, and the dude is super chill, an amazing painter, and just actively has saved lives, and is just out here just chilling, playing dollies. I love his vibe so much. But he's playing Votann, probably, I would expect. If he's not playing Votann, I'm going to cry because
as we've talked about many times, Votann is counter meta right now.
Yeah, and Votann is really, 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 really good now.
So what you need to do in the meta right now is you need to kill Marines and you need to kill Knights. Hey Noah, what are the two things Votann does best?
All fucking day, Votann.
Yeah.
Thousand Suns doesn't want to see Votann because they're big brick, the things that they need to survive to hold the things, just instant die. But the things that kill them are so efficient because they're not as costly because of the grudging. So using the spells to make it easier to kill an individual target. Thousand Suns kind of wants to fight the same things that Votann wants. Votann and Thousand Suns both want you to have a small number of very important assets, right? The thing about it is Thousand Suns is more of an army with small number of very important assets, and Votann is not as much. Votann has a lot of cool trade pieces that will beat you up. So I think Andrew has a real chance to go very far, especially if the pairing gods are gentle. If he hits 3 nights in a row, he's just going to literally be Super Saiyan level, just eyes wide open, just grudging. There's a gentleman named Sweet Lou.
Can I would like to make a slight comment about Dragon Ball Z.
You're in. Go for it.
My 14-year-old likes to cut his own hair.
Okay.
And at this point, his hair is spiky and out like this, like an anime character. It's like this big poof of spikes, not gelled, but just big spiky. And I kept thinking, what does he look like? What does he look like? And then finally, I'm like, you look like the Dragon Ball Z guy. And you got to go like this. And he had no idea what Dragon Ball Z was, which I was pretty surprised by.
Your age is showing.
What's that? I know, but he knows what Voltron is and stuff. He just doesn't happen to know. Anyways, that's it. That's my whole story. Go ahead.
Another either Eldar or Votann player is Sweet Lou. Sweet Lou has done really good at events. He just moved up to the Northwest. I know I know he's had some life change stuff recently that has precluded him getting games in. But I think Sweet Lou is definitely someone that is going to. He's also a great painter too. Aaron Kelman is another Texas person who will be up here. He has family up here, so he came up for a family thing, and then he was out on a boat, and then he seaplaned into Tacoma. And I have his army in a Pelican case I'm bringing down. And
okay, he's definitely, with that vibe, he's definitely the lead guitarist.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, for sure. He's got his big thing. Yeah, absolutely. He's the guitarist
from the Killers from Arkansas.
Aaron is a person who 2 different years that it was me, Aaron, and Brian Jones all competing for best Knights multiple times in history. He is playing his Knights this year. I know that for sure. He's not shy about it. He's been getting a ton of lists. And if you take a team's matter, he has been 20-0ing people who no one should be 20-0ing, players that person is someone who doesn't get 20-0ing. He has been currently Imperial Knights are having a heyday, and Aaron is a really good Imperial Knights player. And he is just riding the rocket. You know what I'm saying? He is on it. He's also a fantastic player. He's got some of the cleanest paint style I've ever seen. His edges and everything are super precision. I want to talk about this one. Is one I'm kind of excited about. Is there is a TikTok and media creator named Jubilee. Jubilee Alexander. Jubilee is amazing. Jubilee does a lot of LGBTQIA trans content and is really an advocate for inclusivity in our hobby. And she has been running a Discord. It's been super amazing for people who are like maybe new to the hobby and aren't like a white male dude. It's just like a this, and she's fantastic. But she's been really putting in the reps, and she took Death Guard. Has been playing a lot of Death Guard. She has been working really hard on the paint. Has this really uniquely well painted, very converted, good looking Death Guard army. Yeah, Julie's great, and she just won her first RTT. Now that's important because her meta is a bunch of people who win GTs. And every time you win an RTT at that store, you have to basically beat someone who wins a GT. I'm really excited for her because I think she's going to go and she's going to do exceptionally this weekend. She has an army that she's really comfortable with that is currently at the top of the list of good armies. She has been getting a lot of time immersed in the hobby, and I think she's going to go. Her shit's going to look great. She's going to beat a bunch of people's asses, and she's going to have a great time. So I think Jubilee is definitely someone to watch. Another one that makes me incredibly excited, this one you'll be probably familiar with, is Harry Geringer. Harry there's a small group of people who they only play. They're like what Colin describes it as the person in World of Warcraft who decided they were going to play a paladin and only ever played a paladin ever.
For 20 years.
For 20 years. So we have a couple of those in North America who we love dearly, who are pretty good. Harry is out of Portland. He really doesn't travel super far for events, but this man plays Firstborn Salamanders. That's it. And this dude wins events and goes X-1.
Is he still not weakened his Firstborn stance?
I don't know. I hope he has, because if he has, if I see that man with Primaris Marines, I'm going to run.
He's really good. I played him at I was the first. I'm not sure how to say this. I played him in the final round of a GT to win the GT, and it was his first time being in that position. I think that's how to say it. Like, it was his first time at top table trying to win an event, and we played each other. We had an amazing game of 8th edition. That's how long ago this is. And I just adore him. He's great. And then we played again later, and I played Drukhari into him when Drukhari was the most broken. And the terrain at the tournament had a giant wall in the middle of the table. And on my first turn, I drove all the raiders up and parked behind the wall and just sat there and looked at the Marines. It was not a particularly interesting game. Okay.
So Harry will be there, and he'll be playing his,
and he's really good.
And he's great. So there's also I want to call out. There's a person who's returning who previously, in his previous era, was getting really good. He was like getting to the top bracket stuff. He was just kind of breaking into top level play. Then he took a break because his life changed in good ways. But he took a break. He has kids who got to a point where he wanted to spend more time doing that than playing 40K, which is, when they're at that young age, is great. He is an avid Chaos Knights player and an outstanding hobbyist. His name's Hootson. And he has these cool giant knights that look like they're rising out of the earth, and they've got like turf on their back and stuff. Chaos Knights are really good right now, and he's ready. He's come back. He's enjoying. I know he's been getting reps in. He's got strong fundamentals. I think he has a real good chance of doing well. So then I'll talk about.
And who was that? I didn't catch that name. Who were you talking
about?
Stephen Hootson.
Okay. Then James Lee, James Lee.
Yeah.
He'll probably be on Stodes. Stodes have been having some good performance. He has some unique Stodes lists. I think James Lee is someone who you cannot turn your back on James Lee and turn gameplay. Like, he will stay.
I asked him what army. I played him at the last round. He's actually the person that I accidentally messed up my rules against at the end of the GT and gave him the win because of it. He's a wonderful guy. I asked him what he plays, and he said every army that runs at you and punches you. And I was like, okay.
And then there's a couple more Xenos Petting Zoo people who will be there. There's a guy named Ken who's great. So I think anybody on Xenos Petting Zoo who made the trip to Washington or Tacoma Open is probably someone who has a real chance of being in the top 8. I can't remember if this is canon or not. One of the Xenos Betting Zoo players who I really enjoy is routinely plays just like the most big knights. I mean, big bugs, tyranids, the most big bugs, just like all chunky boys. And so I hope to see lists like that. I think we're going to see some unique lists. I do think we're going to obviously see what we expect, right? We're going to see some knights. We're going to see some chaos power armor in certain flavor here because they're all good right now. I would say world leaders are the worst of them, but they all can win events. But I think we're also, because the meta is so clear right now, the meta is very clear. Kill Marines, kill nuns. That's what the meta is right? Like, and because it is so clear, there's a lot of, when the meta is so well defined, there's a lot of opportunity for counter meta innovation, which is kind of the trade-off. Like when you get a boring kind of like very solved meta, like this is what it looks like. What you get though is you get a bunch of really cool innovation that then upsets it, which I like. Right. So, Colin, I have a question for you.
Completely in love with my Eldar list for this. For everything you just said. Other
than Eldar,
okay.
What is, and not one of the lists I just talked about, what is and not Votan, because Votan's the easy pick because we would just say Chuck. Chuck is also going, I didn't call it Chuck because he's on our team and I already called it Donald.
And he was in the top 16 last year. Thank
you.
He
was like in fourth place or something. Yeah. Chuck is an amazing player, and there are amazing players on Votan with amazingly painted armies going to this event. That is something we talk about. And Chuck is somebody who can win any event, right? But Chuck is also an old man like us, and Chuck has his good days and his bad days for pain and whatever. Like, I don't know about you, Colin, but like if on a tournament day you wake up and you accidentally laid at the wrong angle that night, your first round is fucked.
I had a tournament where my CPAP hose came unhooked and I didn't hear the machine, and I slept for hours without my CPAP, and I'm like, oh well, this day's ruined. So yeah.
So not good. That's maybe one of the biggest weaknesses of playing old man dad 40K is that sometimes something happens that is out of your control because of your failing biology that makes your following day not as good. But with the stars are aligned and him getting to sleep in his own bed because he loves those, I think Chuck is a fucking force. And he's been a force at every Tacoma, so I think it's because he gets to sleep in his own bed and can control his.
That's the magic power for Chuck, is he has to sleep in his own bed. Anything other than that is unacceptable.
He's like one of the Voltron cats in the castle recharging. He's an EV. He's just so efficient.
And then when it's ready to go, a helmet comes down under him and he spins in his chair, or is that something else?
Yeah, no, that could be it too. I imagine that sometimes. So like when I drink energy drinks, I imagine that a port opens in the back of my neck and I just. So
I actually do feel that way sometimes when I have caffeine. Like I like after spending so much of my life not having caffeine, I didn't know how much my ADHD craved it. And like now I drink caffeine and I could feel my brain go, oh, hello. Hi, let's do it. I'm ready to focus on something. You have like an hour. You probably should get started.
So with the criteria I said before, what is a meta busting?
Oh yes.
What is a meta busting thing that you think or would like to see? Either you think it'll happen, or you would like to see it happen in Tacoma.
Okay, so because I am someone who processes out loud, and I think people will be interested in me processing Noah's question, I'm going to process it out loud. I think sisters are much better. I think that we need that. Oh, is McWhirp coming?
I was under the impression he's not.
Okay. There's a
if he's coming, everyone should brace their behinds.
There is only a small number of people on the planet that I would think could come to Tacoma and win with sisters right now.
McWhirp is one of them.
What's that?
And McWhirp and Ketchum are two, and Lennon, obviously.
Yeah, I think that we won't see Emperor's Chosen like at all, even though Emperor's Children, excuse me. Even though what?
Literally, you do that every time.
I know. I know. Even though Lennon just won with it, I don't think that matters. I don't think that we will see GSC in the top 16. I presume Stu is coming. And Stu is one of the best players in all of Canada, but I just don't think.
I don't know if Stu's coming, but I know that. So
I don't know. Hold on. What?
Floop
But
is going to go, and Floop is a GC that's tiered to player of comparable value. So I would say
okay, maybe then GSC could get in. GSC has really good rules. It's just that you have to really know what you're doing, and you play on a razor. You play on a knife's edge. Like you're just at any moment you could f up and it's all over, which is how I feel about Eldar as well. I do not think that Eldar will top 16 unless one of the people we just mentioned brings it. And Jorge's going to be there, and I think that he's a fantastic Eldar player who plays really off meta, weird lists, and he could absolutely get into the top 16. But I would put him in the 17 to 32, in part because of where Eldar's at, and I also don't think he'll counter meta as hard as he needs to with Eldar. So thinking through the factions, that's a bunch of the ones we haven't talked about. Tyranids, that would be one of my shadow picks. The tunnel detachment is wildly powerful. It is hard to play, but it is extremely powerful. And if you are playing it for the first time, you might just lose. It is a lot to figure out and understand. I have played it a number of times, and I still play a game every once in a while where it just falls apart because there's so many things to keep track of. So I would pick that for sure. But my final answer to Noah's question, I came up with it a while ago while I was talking, but I didn't want to put it in the middle. Gladius is going to be the thing that does well. Because Gladius always does well. And everyone says, oh, well, Marines aren't good right now, except that Gladius is always going to be one of the best attachments in the game. And Space Marines are always going to have some of the best data sheets in the game because they have 700 of them. Some of them have to be good at any one time.
It's interesting because we're going to pick a Marine variant. You said Gladius, and I said, in my head, I said Giant Slayer or Beast Slayer Space Wolves.
Oh, okay. Because I don't know anything about that army.
Here's their detachment roll. You ready for it?
Yeah.
Lethal hits against monsters and vehicles. Once you kill half of your opponents, like rounded the way that's more favorable for you, monsters and vehicles, you get lethal hits against their entire army for the whole game. And then they have some cool stuff. But when you're meta, when you have stuff in your list that's just good at killing Marines, like Thunderwolves or the new Head Takers are just excellent Marine Slayers. They just kill a shit out of any Marine unit they hit. And then you can just go, oh, I'll make stuff that's good at killing Marines. Also kills Knights very good. And you have lethal hits with Oath of Moment. It's kind of a bad day. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that's what I think.
And Stormlines is still really good as well.
Yeah, I think Gladius wins for like if we look at like back at the edition and say what was the best attachment of the edition, it's hands down Gladius, because Gladius was never a bad detachment ever. Right. It was always in the top 3, basically, regardless of how well of any faction.
Gladius, it has amazing rules.
Yeah, Gladius has always, no matter what your Gladius is like the perfect example of Puncher's chance. Yeah. Gladius is never out. It has all the tools. But the tools also enable an extreme amount of damage output.
Yeah.
And it has like the staple of, there's a bunch of strats that we have seen. I'm going to wax for a second here. There's a bunch of strat types that we have seen. Obviously, there's defensive strats and reactive move strats, and then strats that do something weird in the game that like is kind of unique to like that specific strat. There's a bunch of those kind of things. And Gladius basically has one of each, right? We have Armor of Contempt as a solid defensive strat. Even against one instance now, it's still very good. We have Lance and charge and reroll charges, because that's just always good, and it lets your things punch extremely out of their weight class. Mm-hmm. We've got Reactive Move, because Reactive Move is fantastic. And I can't remember the other 3. I could stop there.
Well, there's one that lets you pick a doctrine for a unit, which is the same thing as having a strat that gives you advance and charge.
Right. Okay. So there we go. That's amazing. I mean, and that would be enough. And I know the other 2 strats aren't bad. So like, then they have enhancements that are all good. They have enhancements that buff melee damage. They have enhancements that buff shooting output. And then obviously it has the most flexibility because it can be used for any of the Marine variants. So you can take a Marine list with basically whatever the best mix of models is currently, and it will perform essentially at its top level in Gladius every time. And it doesn't matter if you took a melee army or a shooting army, every one of those detachments, any list you could take. I honestly think you could take almost any Marine list, regardless of what it was written for, slap Gladius on top of it, and it can probably X and one an event.
And it might be better.
It might be better. Even
Yeah.
a Stormlance list that's like, that's a Stormlance list. Well, you could slap Gladius on it and it's still fine.
Yeah. I was thinking maybe, do you have anything else you want to say about Tacoma? Because I had an idea for our last 8 minutes.
Sure. No, I don't. And then KR Quintero says, any Iron Priest in effect, and I believe so, yes. That was in last week's rules. The rule cutoff for Tacoma was Monday. So we are living in the world of just a very bullshit ass rule that doesn't do very well.
Yeah.
Right,
okay, so I was just going to say there's one aspect of what I was going to take to Tacoma that I want to talk about.
Yeah.
So I went through a lot of work to figure out what I could do the best. By the way, I totally think I could top 16 with Eldar. I just want to be clear. I thought I was picking that I would be in the second bracket in my brain, but it is totally possible that I would get into the top bracket with Eldar. And the reason why is because I'm playing Eldar a bit differently than not everybody else, but there's a lot of aspect hosts out there that shooting people. I'm rocking Warhost with it's just so much jank. I took Dark Reapers out and just took them out. Don't care. They're not good. Don't care. Move them around. Get them in another transport. Don't care. I put 2x10 fire dragons in because 2 units of fire dragons getting in and out of transports on the same turn after both of them killing their target is a real problem for knights and also all of the vehicles that stupid Death Guard is relying on, and all of the vehicles and the rhinos and you know Morty and everything else you need to kill that's big. And let's not forget the knight meta. Noah doesn't want anything to do with 2 wave serpents that are behind walls. Fire dragons fall out, kill knights, and then get back into the wave serpents. It's not Noah's not into that.
This is why.
He might still kill the wave serpents, or he might shoot one and it might move 8 inches away from him or towards him. So that's a big deal. But then, and lots of people are going to do that. That's not unique, okay? And then I took 2x10 Banshees. 10 Banshees is an incredibly powerful thing that people don't value. And now it's even more strong because if a unit of the 3, what are they? The Death Shroud, charge a unit of 10 Banshees, enough of the Death Shroud die that you are not unhappy with the trade. And also, because you killed the Death Shroud, they may not kill you in return because of your 4-up invul. So I've seen that in a number of games against Death Guard. 10 Banshees just wrecks Marine armies. They can't charge you. It's too deadly. And what I did on top of that, okay, I've got 2 Wave Serpents. I've got 2 units of Banshees. I got 2 units of Fire Dragons. So I can kind of build for what I'm doing in the Wave Serpents. But I realized that if you take Autarchs with Fire Dragon guns are geared for either of those units. So I took 2 Autarchs, and if I'm playing against a vehicle-heavy list, I put the Autarchs with the Fire Dragons. It gives the Fire Dragons another shot. It gives them a guy that hits on 2s. It gives them free strat use, right? It gives them all the things. Or against a melee army, I put it with the Banshees. Either way, the Autarch is letting things reroll their battle focus, which is a huge deal, and their advance, which is a huge deal. And then you get the final piece of all of that, which is if you have an Autarch and a Banshee unit together and anyone charges you, you have a guaranteed 2 strength 6 AP 3/3s from the aspect tokens. And the Autarch and the Exarch have 7 attacks between the 2 of them at 6/3/3, so you might just blow up whatever comes into you. Okay, so that was just the little bit that I was doing that I was excited about. The rest of the list was very Eldar. I did have Wind Riders. But I love the idea of having these 4 relatively expensive bricks that have 2 characters that can go between them. I loved the tech of that, and I was really excited to have that decision making to do each tournament, in part because each round, in part because it would be very hard for my opponents to predict what the hell I was going to do. So that was a little bit there.
For sure. I think it's great. I think you put a lot of time and effort into crafting that list specifically in a good way that gives you all the outplay and doesn't compromise your core, but allows you to play very cleanly into the current meta plays.
Yeah, well, and what I did is I really pulled down the MSU into heavier hammers because of how aggressive the Tacoma Open is.
Yeah, I ended up taking The reason I ended up settling on Infernal, and I was like flip flopping back between, I would rather be playing Lords of Dread because I think that I like the like more hammer style of like it's got these amazing enhancements and it's got it's got a couple conditions it can create that your opponent just can't solve. But my thought was that Tommy Aguilar, who's also playing Captains, and I think he's also someone to watch, said it really well to me. He said, some lists make problems, some lists solve problems. Mm-hmm. Lords of Dread is Eldar has always been a solve problems list, but I do really think that one of the reasons it was so abusive in this, like recently, and that's, abusive in comparison to current times. I understand that it's been more abusive in the past with, I can't remember the name of the detachment, but the one that's about worshiping the dead. The one that Yunari is because Yunari created a problem that was incredibly hard to solve.
Right. And the Eldar had all the tools to solve the problem that you tried to give back while you were solving their problem.
Yep. That's why there was very specific armies that beat it, and then it just went through everything else.
Yep.
Emperor's Children was the same way as a problem army, right? Because since everything advances in charges, and because it gets empowered by you playing the game normally by screening and those kind of things, it forces you to play an entirely different way. Lords of Dread is the same way, right? Lords of Dread stickies things at 5. It can reduce damage by 1. It's got these really cool strats that impact the gameplay. But if you know how to play against it, and if you came prepared and you understand the assignment, Lords of Dread is not that hard to beat with your normal list that you're going to play. It's just really hard to conceptualize how to do that sometimes. Mm-hmm. Infernal is a solved problem list, and that's why I'm on it, because plus 3 inches of movement can solve a lot of problems. Lethal or sustain can solve a lot of problems. 5 of Invul with a 6 of Feel and Pain in melee, or 6 of Feel and Pain in shooting also solves a lot of problems. And I think at the end of the day, rather than playing like the thing that is going to smash, I decided to play the thing that can smash, but like has fewer chances of being stuck in a corner and not being able to function because someone understood the assignment.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with that. Okay. We're out of time. Guys, This has been a lot of fun. Thank you so much. You can go now. It's fine.
Oh, if you see me at Tacoma, come say hi. Come give me a hug. I'll give you a dice. We'll have a great time.
Yeah. Thank you so much, everybody. It's been really fun to do the show this week. Thanks for accepting that this is Thursday and not Wednesday. I know that's hard for people. I will be back next week with Noah to talk about the tournament. I'm going to try to find some other people to come on since I'm not able to go. And then we will get Colin back rolling after he moves. So thank you, everybody. It's been a lot of fun, and we will be back soon. He was Noah, and I'm Colin because someone has to be. Bye, everybody. Oh, I clicked the wrong button. Bye, everybody. Hi, I really hope you're enjoying our content. For 20 years, I pushed through an exciting career in enterprise software sales. While I had quite a bit of success and fun, I watched as my interest and drive slowly fell away. Since I was 8 years old, I've wanted to entertain. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep creating and tweaking 40K web shows until I land on the combination that the community just can't get enough of. It's an exciting journey, and I'm sincerely having the best time. But I can't do it alone. Would you like to help make my journey easier? Well, there's several ways to do that. First of all, I know that you're told all day long to like and subscribe. That's because it really does help. Please do the thing. Next, you can sign up for our Patreon. We have several levels that might work for you. First, just simple Discord access. For nearly a decade, we've run one of the most positive and helpful spaces in all of 40K. Come find out for yourself. That tier also gets our help finding TTS opponents and can join in on our 2 or more private stream games every week that we do only for our patrons. Up a tier, you'll get all our past recordings of our private stream games. You'll have access to the memes, graphics, and presentations we use on our shows. We have a fantasy football league. We have other leagues. We have a weekly TTS drawing to pair you up with your favorite content producer for a game. And you know what else? If you're all in on this journey and you want to do whatever you can, there's a tier for that as well. Thank you and enjoy the show.